Item number 1, review of the agenda. Where do we need to add making Mr. Howard, or appointing Mr. Howard as the secretary?
3A possibly. 5A? No, 3A.
3A to appoint superintendent Mr. Howard as secretary.
What about taking off 39?
Yes. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I want to add a job description approval for educational sign language interpreter. They put that G11. So that'd be under,
Not good.
nope, sorry. Do we do it under 14?
14A. Approval. Anything else? There are no other changes. And I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, approval of minutes for August 23rd, 2022, regular board meeting, September 1st, 2022, special board meeting, September 12th, 2022, special board meeting, and September 15th, 2022, special board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 3A, appoint Superintendent Mr. Howard as secretary for the board. I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Howard as the board secretary.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Student staff recognition.
What is that again?
The Sidwell Service Award.
Congratulations to the following staff for being awarded with KDE's William Stillwell Honorary Service Award. The Stillwell Award is commemorated with a special service coin, and it's the highest honor that KDE provides in the field of K through 12 educational technology. This year's award is going to key staff in each district who played a crucial role in providing quality educational technology services at and beyond the school campus during the roughly 2-year core of the COVID-19 pandemic, March 2020 to March 2022. This was a time period when education technology was counted on more than any other time in Kentucky K-12 history. And due to these staff members' above and beyond mentality, our district was able to continue the work of students learning and teachers instructing. Great job, award winners. The recipients are Joel Johnson, Amy Shoemaker. Oh, sorry. Natalie Thomas. Kristen Pruitt.
No, you're good, Ms. Pruitt.
Tammy Fry.
Congratulations, appreciate you.
Cassie Puckett. Amy Reese. Jennifer Turley. Beth Smith. Mike Murray. And Justin Kaysen. Congratulations, guys.
Would you like one in the group or?
Absolutely, just with you guys, I didn't do anything.
Okay, I got it. Ready, 1, 2, 3. I'm so sorry.
We'll do it individual.
Yes.
We'll shake, you gonna shake hands and we video? Here.
Is there any public comment, Mr. Mounts, do you care to check? Thank you. Since there's no public comment, we'll move to student learning and instructional services. Item number 4, update on PSI savings. Mr. Dow with Performance Services.
So,
Please.
Good evening. My name is David Dowdell. I'm the Business Development Manager with Performance Services. We completed 2 energy savings projects with the district going back to about 2015. And we produced the Year 3 savings report, which is a combination of the 2 phases, earlier this year. And we're just here to give you a brief overview of the results of Year 3. And with me here today is Abby Vall. She's our Performance Assurance Administrator. She actually puts the reports together, so I'm going to let her actually present it because she's the expert when it comes to this report. So.
Good evening. So I'm Abby. I'm the Performance Assurance Administrator at PSI. My team is responsible for tracking facility consumption and make sure the district's on track to meet their energy savings goals. And we also put together the annual report. So recently, the Year 3 report covering energy savings from Phase 1 and 2. I don't know if we could go to the next slide. So, there we are. Okay, so this just revisits the scope. Completed in 2018, and energy savings were mostly driven by an interior and exterior lighting upgrade district-wide. There were some significant HVAC upgrades at Campbell Junior High and also Baker Elementary. And then there were some targeted building envelope improvements in addition to some water conservation measures. And so in Year 3, if we could go to the next slide. We're happy to report that we calculated approximately $250,000 in energy savings resulting from these upgrades. So that surpasses our guaranteed energy savings amount by about 25%. We also monitor utility invoices just to make sure we're on the right track. And I'm very pleased to report that they're validated we saw $277,000 come off of the utility bills in year 3. So that's the 2021. And so we like to attribute that possibly to conservative engineering, but also excellence in building and operations management. You guys are doing a good job at controlling your facilities. Okay, next slide. So over the last 3 years, we've calculated approximately $738,000 have come off of your utility invoices from these upgrades. But of course, I like to look at utility data because I think that that tells the biggest story. And over the last 3 years, you've seen a reduction of $908,000 coming from your utility invoices. So very well done. Okay. Additional benefits, not only the robust financial benefits, but you're probably noticed an improvement in optimal learning environment as well. So now that the district's able to better control and regulate space temperature, humidity, and ventilation levels, it keeps students and staff healthy, happy, and ready to learn. Okay. Finally, the last way we like to look at energy performance is through EUI, which is also called Energy Intensity Energy Usage Index. But it's just generally energy used per square foot. And so when we began implementing this project, the district's average was 50.8 EUI. Since we implemented our updates, we've observed about a 15% reduction in energy intensity, which is great. However, you all started out pretty well. 50s and 40s, that's a great EUI to start out with. So we're happy to be continuing to work with you guys to further lower your energy intensity. Okay, so on the last slide here, concerning next steps, for the calendar year 2022, we'll have that year 4 report ready in the first quarter of 2023, and we're going to continue to review energy consumption on a monthly basis as your utility bills come in. And if we've identified some additional opportunities, and if you guys would want to discuss those at a later date, we're always open to that. Yeah. Are there any questions for me?
Do we have any questions from the board?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for allowing us to present.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Item number 5, preschool update. Ms. Blanton.
Good evening. My name is Jill Blanton. I'm the principal at Clark County Preschool, and we are ecstatic and honored to be here tonight to present the great things that are happening at Clark County Preschool. The first thing I want to do is I brought just a few of my coworkers with me, and I want them to introduce themselves and let you know what their role is at preschool.
Hi, I'm Hannah Abner. I'm the facilitator at the preschool.
I'm Mary Ann Trimble, and I'm one of the preschool teachers.
Hi, I'm Deanna Guy, and I am a pathway specialist with Community Action Council.
Hi, I'm Allison Nelson, school psychologist.
So we can go on to the first slide. So the first thing I want to do is kind of talk a little bit about the dynamics of preschool. So we are a blended program. We are partnered with Community Action Council, who is a vital asset to our program. They give us 91 students, so they fund us for 91 of our students that come to our program. They give us 2 pathway specialists, which Ms. Deanna is one of those. They provide us with an instructional coach, and they have purchased our curriculum, creative curriculum. They purchased that for us. They also purchased our assessment tool, which is Teaching Strategies Gold. It's the online version. They have provided 5 classrooms of materials and furniture. So we took everything out of our classrooms, and they purchased all new materials and furniture for those classrooms. They also purchased 50%, and if you'll look at the slide, that's our outdoor classroom, which is phenomenal. They purchased 50% of that. And then they also purchase our food for all of our family engagement nights. So they are vital to our program. Next slide. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the enrollment process. So if you're out and about somewhere and somebody says, how do I get my child into Clark County Preschool? This is what you're going to tell them. So you're going to go to the Clark County Public School website. You're going to go under that Students and Parents tab. And under there, you're going to find preschool enrollment. They're going to click that, and they're going to fill out that application. Once they fill that application out, it's going to come straight to Hannah and myself, and then we will forward it to our family service workers. Our family service workers make that initial contact to those families. We start working on all those vital pieces that are required to come to school, such as like birth certificates, immunization certificates, proof of income, driver's license, proof of residency. Once we do that, as we're collecting all those items, we are going to start screening them. And we'll talk a little bit more about the screening process later on. So the next one. So our current enrollment. We currently have 94 3-year-old students and 190 4-year-old students for a total of 284. Now, keep in mind this was Friday. We added 3 kids today. So it's continually growing. We do have 16 classrooms in our building. With 16 IECE teachers. Those teachers are dual certified, so they have a regular education teacher or degree and a special education degree. And so we have 13 classrooms inside of our building, and then we have 3 classrooms in the trailer.
As far as students who are not currently enrolled in our program, we have 17 students on our 3-year-old income eligible wait list. We have 10 4-year-old students who still need to be screened, and we currently have 92 3-year-old students who need to be screened. And our screening process will start back on Thursdays, beginning this Thursday after school. As far as exceptional children numbers, we have 101 students that we serve for specially designed instruction. That number grows weekly. It's actually 103 right now, so this was Friday. Students needing an eligibility meeting, meaning they have had a referral meeting, have a potential delay or disability, and waiting for eligibility to receive those services. We have 53 children for that, and then 36 children needing an initial referral meeting. All right, so the screening process. So all students who attend Clark County Preschool are already at risk. They either qualify based on a low socioeconomic status, or they identified a possible delay or disability needing that specially designed instruction. Every student is screened prior to enrollment unless they automatically qualify based on income. Then they are screened within that first 30 days of enrollment within our program. We use the Dial-4 screener when we screen, and it looks at 5 areas. So they look at our cognitive skills, their communication skills, so their articulation and their language. They look at motor skills, both fine and gross motor skills. And then the social emotional skills and the self-help adaptive skills are rated through a parent questionnaire.
So at preschool, we also provide some enrichment opportunities. One of those is Miss Farah, and she sees all 16 classrooms once a week for a 30 minutes music and movement session. So she's phenomenal. The kids absolutely love her. We also have Miss Wendy from the Clark County Public Library who comes and does story time with Miss Wendy once a month. So she comes on Wednesdays and she sees all 16 classrooms in a month. And then we have Miss Haley, who's our guidance counselor. She goes in weekly to all 16 classrooms and she does a second steps lesson which focuses on social emotional skills, which we'll talk about a little later.
So what do we teach at preschool? So we use creative curriculum. That is we use units of study, and in that unit of study you may have things like trees and tubes and tunnels. Right now we're studying balls, and so we're talking about all things that are round, and that's all, the globe, what do they know? And so we use things like that to base their learning of what they already know and grow deeper with that. And within that, it allows us to look at their abilities of what they already know and then what we can grow as we dig deeper into each of these studies. We also have supplemental curriculum that we use, Fontenay and Pinell, that is used in some of our elementary schools. So we go ahead and start an introduction of that with interactive read-alouds, shared reading programs, so we use that as well. Another thing we do is Second Steps. Miss Haley comes in and does that once a week with us. But as teachers, we go in and we really make sure that we're focusing on the needs of that social emotional, because we know that in preschool, the number one need is their social emotional skills to get them ready for preschool or for kindergarten. Next slide. All right, and we also do visual phonics. That's our pre-literacy. So we're introducing letters and sounds, and that's also used in your elementary age grades. And so that way, you're able to be introduced at preschool level, and when they go in, they already are aware of what these teachers are teaching them in the kindergarten level. We also do handwriting without tears. That is our pre-writing, so they're not coming in and we're just giving them a pencil and saying, here, you're gonna write. We work with that pinching. We start with small golf pencils and work our way to fat pencils to eventually, by the end of the year, using a regular pencil. So we're working with them as they grow. And the last thing we do is Teaching Strategies Gold. That goes along with our creative curriculum, and we're able to assess all of our students through that tool to know where they're at, where we want them to go, and where they're going to go by the end of the year.
Related services. At the preschool, we have 2 speech pathologists. We have Miss Caitlin and Miss Shotha. Combined, currently, of course, these grow, right? Weekly, our numbers grow. Currently, they are servicing 70 students. We have a occupational therapist, Miss Lori Dotson, who services currently 40 students. And then Miss Lori Howard is our physical therapist, and she is seeing 9 students at this time. We also have Miss Norma, who services our ELL students. She sees 20 students right now and works with those students on a daily basis.
Okay, so at preschool, we are focused on building relationships with our families, and we provide a lot of opportunities for that, for family engagement and building those relationships. On the 17th of August, we held an open house and health fair, and it provided families with the opportunity to get a free physical and dental exam. We also provided opportunities to sign up for Medicaid on site, free clothing bank. We had Mountain Comprehensive Care there for mental health services, just in case they don't get those supports outside of our building. They were able to explore their classrooms, meet with their teachers. They were also served a meal, and that was provided through our school lunch program. So they can eat breakfast or lunch depending on what time of day they came. We also did the transportation paperwork completed on site for those who had not already done that. So we did all of that on the 17th, so that was prior to the beginning of school. All right, we can go to the next slide. So for September, our family engagement event, we focused on the social and emotional development. As we've already said, that is a huge part of what we do. Our kids really need that. So for this one, we had Grandparents' Day. And a lot of grandparents do raise their grandkids, and we know this, and it's a huge thing we focus on as a district. For this one, we had 399 participants, so that was huge. We had only allotted ourselves for about 150 to 200. So we really, it was growing, and we were like, oh, I don't know if we can fit everyone. They really showed up and showed out for this event. With this workshop that we completed, they were able to focus on morning and bedtime routines and why establishing those routines are so important for this age. Getting them into the transition of going to school, getting up and getting ready, and going to bed early so they're prepared for the next day. And then our families received a family-style dinner provided by our local facilities restaurant, and we were giving away door prizes by the tickets. All right, next slide. So here are some of our upcoming engagement events. We do these mostly monthly. I don't think we have one in December, but our fall festival, it is going to be geared toward all child development, so there'll be all types of that curriculum built into there. And then November's will focus on literacy, and that's, activities geared toward getting families to read together at night, making that a habit. Math will probably provide activities for them to do together as a family at the event and some takeaways as well. For the Health and Nutrition Night in March, we focus on building those nutritional skills so the families have a good way to build those meals at home, budget-friendly, of course. And then in April, we have a spring concert with Ms. Farah, and that showcases what the kids have worked on with Ms. Farah all year, so the parents get to see what we actually do with her. And then our end-of-the-year picnic at the park, we usually do an event, just kick off summer, give kids, congratulations on going to kindergarten or coming back next year so they're prepared.
So we also have several partners in education, and one that we have just recently started is swimming with Winchester Parks and Rec. And so this program is a phenomenal program. We focus on our 4-year-olds that are going to kindergarten. And so during this program, our students are learning the safety skills of if I fall in water or I fall in the pond or whatever, I have life-saving skills to survive. So they're teaching them those life-saving skills. They're teaching them how to turn over, how to float, how to paddle. So it's a phenomenal program. And the Parks and Rec actually bought bathing suits for all of our students, the participants and towels. We also started a partnership with the health department. We're doing the school garden beds, and so our students are, spreading the dirt, they're planting the flowers, the seeds, they're gonna grow them, they're gonna take care of them, they're gonna harvest them and try them when they're done. So we have several classrooms participating in that. It's actually in our outdoor classroom, so the kids who are in the outdoor classroom actually get to see the gardens grow. And then we have our Be a Man program, and that's a partnership with Greg Yates. And we work on, we have so many students at school that just are missing that male role model. And so this program, we ask fellow male community members to come in and read to our young males in our school. And it just helps with that, what they're missing, that they're missing at home. Helps with that relationship building and just, it's a great program. And then we also are working on building relationships with our district. So we currently work with the FFA students. They develop lesson plans and they create activities and they bring them to preschool and they do these activities with our students and they focus on agriculture. So the first one that they're working on right now will be something that focuses on pumpkins. So last year they made pumpkin pie, so in a cup, not a big one. It's in a cup. But the kids absolutely love it. It's a great program. And we call all of this our big cards, getting to know our little cards. It's our big card and little card program. So we also work with the child development students at the high school. These are students who are going into teaching, or they want to work in a daycare one day, or they want to get their CDA. So we provide them an opportunity for hands-on experiences on the job, like training. So they come over to our school, they have developed lesson plans, and they create the activities, and they come over and they do them with our students. And everybody has a great time. So the other group that we are working with is the lead students at GRC, and they pretty much do the same as the child development students. They create those lesson plans, they create the activities, and they make all the materials. I just take the materials over to them, they make it all, and they bring it back to me, and they do the lessons with them. And they're on their own. So the teachers just give them a little area, and they do it all on their own. So it's a fabulous program that we're working on with the high school.
So in addition to all of the amazing collaborative initiatives that preschool currently has ongoing, this year we have also established a partnership with the Berea Regional Training Center, which is focused on early childhood development in preschool. And this initiative is aimed at targeting our positive interventions, our positive behavior interventions and supports. So oftentimes you'll hear us refer to that as PBIS in the school system. So we have committed to a 2-year pilot program with the Berea RTC. And it is based in this framework of the pyramid model. So you'll see the visual here, and basically this model works to grow an effective workforce through extensive training in positive behavior supports. So through this training, we're laying a foundation for students to receive instruction in high-quality supportive environments with nurturing and responsive relationships between our students, our staff, and our families. So that family engagement piece is a massive component. So the idea is that with these foundational supports, we're going to meet the majority of our students' social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Now, this model also has layers that include targeted and intensive interventions for students who may require additional layers of supports. So we're meeting the needs of all students through this type of program. The awesome thing about this partnership is all of the resources that we're receiving from Berea RTC are free. I know. So these are, yes. So they are, this is a grant-funded initiative that comes down from the state, from KDE. They're going to provide us, our staff, with intensive support. So these things would include things like targeted professional development for our staff to grow that effective workforce. It's also going to do direct coaching with teachers in classrooms. So we're going to have individuals, trained professionals come in, provide coaching to our teachers in the classroom setting on positive behavior interventions and supports. And then we're also going to develop internal coaches at preschool, which is going to help with sustainability of this system over time. So I think it's really awesome. We're really excited about it. The overall goal of this initiative is to improve our students' confidence, their concentration and persistence, their social problem-solving skills, and their relationship development skills. So we can really give them that foundation that they need to move forward and be successful on their educational journey. So it's something we're really excited about.
Okay, so next, we have prepared a little snapshot of what a day looks like at Clark County Preschool. And so we just want you to watch it and enjoy. So we just want to take the time to say thank you for allowing us to come here and showcase all the great things that are happening at Clark County Preschool. We would love each and every one of you to come see our program any day of the week. We love visitors, and we'll put you to work. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Student Support Services, item number 6, consider approval of 2022 Sheriff's Tax Commission increase. Mr. Howard.
Yes, so really just consider the Sheriff's Tax Commission increase. Talked to Sheriff Perdue, do great work for us. I would recommend that we approve it.
Any questions or discussions?
I'll make the motion to approve the 2022 Sheriff's Tax Commission increase.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7, consider approval of the proposed BG1 for the replacement of the gymnasium bleachers at Henry E. Baker Intermediate School. Mr. Scott.
Good evening. Next formal process in pursuing a replacement of the bleachers at Baker. This BG1 reflects a change in funding from ESSER funding to general funding, an effort to save the prevailing wage rates out there for federal dollars and such projects. So we would ask the board to approve the proposed BG1 as a place marker, and as a consequence, we would put this out for rebid this month, and hopefully come back in next month with a low bid to ask the board to approve a low bid for this project.
Any discussion or questions? I'll make a motion to approve the proposed BG1 for the replacement of the gymnasium bleachers at Henry E. Baker Intermediate School. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 8, consider approval of proposed BG1 for the replacement of the gymnasium bleachers, at Robert D. Campbell Junior High School. Mr.
Yeah.
Sutton.
Ditto, for same
Thank
thing
you.
as Baker's proposal. For Campbell's, we're pricing the 2 sets of bleachers on the left-hand side of the gymnasium and at the end zone. So placeholder, we'd ask the board to approve this so we can proceed with this project.
Any questions or discussion?
I'll make the motion to approve BG1 for the replacement of the gymnasium bleachers at Robert D. Campbell Junior High School.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 9, consider,
Thank you, Ms. Ritchie.
thanks. Consider acceptance of bid for the Clark County New Early Childhood Center Preschool Construction Project BG 21-247. Mr. Snyder.
Okay, we have in the audience our construction manager, Dr. John Hagan, representing Cohel Construction. He facilitated the bidding process, so I'd like to turn it over to him so he can present to the board how those results played out.
I've got copies of what's on the screen there. I don't know if y'all have those in front of you or not, but so we took bids on the 15th of this month. We had a really great turnout. We had 52 bids overall across the various bid packages. 53 total. We did have one come in a little late, but 52 valid bids, which was a heck of a turnout. I think that shows it's a pretty attractive project, pretty attractive packages for the bidders. We did receive at least 2 bids for every package, with the exception of one, the library furniture package. Only received 1 bid, but as you can see, several of the packages had 3 or 4 bids, so we're very happy with the turnout. I wanted to say that. I guess I can talk specifically about the bidding process or the alternates if you have any questions on those types of things, or just keep going. Okay. So tonight, really, we're just kind of looking for some direction, I guess, from the board. Obviously, the numbers didn't land exactly where we had hoped. We were anticipating a total cost higher than our BG3 estimate from back in April. We knew the environment we were dealing with. But we did come in around $21 million. Let's see, the base bid, $21,209,000. So it's a little bit higher than expected, or higher than we had hoped, I should say. So really, we wanted to kind of talk through the potential options here tonight. You know, you can accept the bids as is, move forward. You can explore some value engineering on any or all packages, do some competitive negotiation with some certain packages where we've identified some savings along with Ross Torrent. We feel very, very strongly that some dollars can be saved, no doubt. We've already started discussions with some of the contractors to identify those in anticipation of that direction.
Do you think that if we, maybe table this, we have time to table this in November, correct?
The bids are good for 60 days from the 15th, so.
To try to maybe see,
Yeah,
get the numbers lower?
right. Yes, is the short answer. We would probably, if it were to get to your November board meeting, we would probably have to ask for an extension from the contractors to keep their bids valid, because I think you said the board meeting's not till the 25th or something.
Do you know off the top of your head when the dates are, the bids are good to?
I believe it's the 14th of November, 14th, 13th, 14th of November. So unless there were a special call board meeting prior to that, we can do an offer an extension of the bids to each contractor, which I would expect them to accept.
I think it would be worth having a special called meeting to try to do that.
Okay. I guess to give us some marching orders, would it be to explore all the bid packages, see where we can find all the savings across the board, without doing some sort of extensive redesign by the architect? So is where I'm headed with that. Not go back to the drawing board, essentially, just see where we can find some savings as is without doing some major changes to the building itself.
Do you think that'll be effective?
I do. Yeah. For sure. Like I said, we've already been discussing with contractors. We've already got some big ticket items in hand. We would like to propose it to them, not just us saying, here's the things we want to see your new costs on. You guys propose to us where you see some potential savings. Sometimes they're seeing things differently than we are, so we want to explore all the options. But yeah, we can definitely do that and then submit something formal to Donald with the revised figures. I guess, Randy, would that require a post-bid addendum?
Yes. To get official dollars, as far as official forms of proposal back, we would require a post-bid agenda.
So we would do, we would issue that probably in the next week or so, give the contractors about 10 days to provide those back to us.
Yep.
Do you think that's enough time?
I do. I don't think it'll take them, once they get the request, because they're already working on it, so that when we've made it clear, be looking for some savings, so it shouldn't take too long.
I'm gonna make a motion that we table this, till November, and we will, schedule a date for the special called meeting to review this at a later date, because we have a lot of board members, virtual or absent.
Okay.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Item number 10, consider approval of the BG1 project application form for the Strode Station Elementary Building, gym wall veneer system in the amount of $464,500. Mr. Stump.
This is for the proposed replacement of the ephes or the stucco that we discussed at the last board meeting. It's a pretty comprehensive project, involves all of the stucco for the entire building, which is pretty comprehensive, and replacing all that stucco with metal. So it would involve the demolition of all the existing ephes systems, an examination of the structural integrity that's underneath, and replacement of all insulation, and replacing the overview with metal for the entire building. Again, this is a placeholder that we'd actually go to bid with this and bring back a BG3 to the board with the actual cost. This is just a projection at this point. So we'll, after we go to bid and those bids come back, we'd bring that back to the board and ask the board to address the low bid.
Any questions or discussion? I'll make a motion to consider number 10 as written. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 11, consider approval of the BG1 project application form for the Strode Station gym floor replacement for a projected cost of $300,000, whatever. Mr. Stein.
Okay, the board has showed some interest in entertaining a proposal, a possible proposal for the replacement of the VGC tile and that's currently exists in the gymnasium at Strode Station Elementary. We originally thought there would be some issues with the transition of doorways if we were to elevate that with wood. But we had the architects, Ross Trunk, come out and assess the project, give us a projected quote on what it potentially would cost to replace that tile, remove the tile, treat the concrete, and replace it with maple flooring for this projected cost. So we would just entertain what the board's interest is on this particular project and proceed or not proceed, however you would direct us.
So this is the final bid?
No, this is a
You're gonna-
projected cost. We would actually put it out to bid.
Okay.
So you'll put it out to bid and then bring it back before the board for approval, correct?
If you approve this, we would do that, yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the BG1 project application form for Strode Station gym floor replacement. I guess for that
Not to
amount,
exceed that cost.
yeah, to not exceed $137,337.50. Okay.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Ashley.
She seconded.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All those in favor, aye, motion carries. Item number 12, consider approval to fund RDC Junior High School football helmet reconditioning services in the amount of $7,356.37.
As has been the case in the past, the board has supported our request of refurbishing football helmets for the athletic programs at Campbell, since they don't have booster programs at that level. So standing instead for the Campbell Athletic Department, we asked the board to consider paying for the refurbishment of their football helmets for that program, for the amount listed.
Any questions or discussion?
I'll make that motion to approve the football helmet reconditioning services in the amount of $7,356.37.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 13, consider approval of field light replacement quotes for the Justice Site Football Field Complex. Mr. Stein. You can't get away from them.
Justice Football Field. Lighting is very deteriorated. Actually, it was original lighting that was on the Belmont football field back when we owned Belmont, where the library currently exists. But 4x4 structures, the 4x4 structures were rotting, so we took the lights down. We were asked to kind of give the board some general idea what it would cost to replace the lighting systems and the poles on that field. So those are the numbers, and if the board is interested in pursuing that, then I'd be happy to do that for you.
Can we table that one?
To the planning committee.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably good.
Because I think that field probably needs some other work there. If we're gonna look at doing some things there, I think it'd be good to look at the whole picture and not Band-Aid just a few of the items.
Sure.
Who are you able to? I couldn't hear.
The local planning committee. Because I think also, actually, that there are some issues at some other schools that need addressed, and I think Mr. Howard is going to speak on that.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Ritchie? 'Cause I know.
What?
So it would be my recommendation that we allow the local planning committee, they've got a meeting on Thursday, really assess the district need as far as lighting. I know we've got some issues at Campbell softball field, at Campbell's baseball field, Campbell's football field, and I'd really like that committee and yourself, since you're the chair of that, to kind of look at where the need is and kind of prioritize where we need to start first. So we're being strategic and intentional about our spending and what we're replacing.
Can you address that though? I mean, how far down will it be priority with the facility committee?
How far down would it be a priority for the facility committee, is her question?
Well, currently, it's not on our district facility plan to replace the lights on that field, but, you know, we are doing an amendment. We have a meeting scheduled for Thursday, the 29th, with our first meeting with the LPC. Certainly, that could be addressed there, and that committee's recommended to the board where to replace that at.
So let the local planning committee prioritize it and then bring it back before the board.
As a
in order of
recommendation to the
accordance
board.
From that committee.
It could function that way, yes.
So it would have to be like, is that on, it would have to be under the priority one for it to, for them to have lights put back up, correct?
Mr. Stubbs saying no. I'm gonna
No,
answer.
actually, you actually have to initiate both projects on your level one DP, and you have done that. You have BG1s on both projects for level one, so that allows you to move into your level 2C projects. And again, depending on your funding source, it shouldn't be an issue if you look at general funds or funds in that capacity. But no, that shouldn't be a barrier to addressing those lights, because you've already addressed the two priority one projects on your district facility plan.
We could put it in the,
In with that other group of projects, okay. So is the motion to table it, or is it to
I
put
can't
it?
make a motion, that's up to you guys, that's my recommendation.
It is to table?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms.
Okay,
Ritchie,
but do they have football games out there tonight right now?
I spoke with a representative just the other day that is using that field, and they said they could move their Sunday games up earlier to avert from the games extending into the darkness. So they have a plan around the lighting system currently.
And I would say if that becomes an issue, we could absolutely make available RDC's football stadium that has bathroom, running water. I mean, to really wrap around our kids in Clark County to give them something a little bit better. Or even Coach Jericho, won't speak for him, but I think he likes having little kids, future football players and families, maybe on the big field as well.
We could arrange that.
did you hear that, Ms. Ritchie? I'm sorry?
I thought you were talking to me.
No, I said, did you hear what Mr. Howard said?
Did, I'm just, but we took off lockdown and we're kind of letting literally dark until,
Well, the lights were hanging on by what looked to be a thread, so they needed to come down, in my opinion, regardless, but, we can accommodate them until they're fixed, until the local planning committee can get things arranged, or take them, like, whatever suits them, we're willing to work with them, if we can just get the lighting issues stacked in level of importance and maybe tackle a few of them at the same time, was kind of my thinking on it.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to table number 13.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 14, consider approval of bus quote to purchase 2 buses and window tinting. Mr. Ford.
Good evening, board members. My first time, so be easy on me, sorry. So I'd like to consider approval for the bus quote to purchase 2 new buses and tinting on 20 windows that we have currently. It'll help tremendously with the heat on the buses. The tent will, now to get in the 2 new buses, they will have air and tent already on them. We would use those for our overcrowded buses and our trip buses for like the sports teams and any trip that would require an over 2-hour drive. It would just work out. If we're gonna, every bus we have now is currently overcrowded, and these newer buses they're bigger, and they would alleviate the overcrowding on the buses. So that's pretty much all I have. Sorry.
No, it's great, actually. Any questions or discussions?
Let's see, is that just a general fund?
ESSER funds?
ESSER, okay,
ESSER funds.
okay, great.
It'd be my recommendation, its entirety to reduce the number of routes. That's going to open up more efficiency, and then also the transfer of kids from GRC to RDC. We get a lot more kids, so we don't have to have as many buses out, which means we don't have to wait as long at the junior high school
Right.
to let kids out. So I think it's overall a comprehensive plan. And the tending will also help with the weather. The tending 20 buses year 2012 and up.
Yes, yes.
So we should see,
Roughly about 20 buses.
again, culture climate too with our bus drivers and our kids and our families to make sure we're not going to put kids on hot buses. And I was on a couple of buses, they're extremely nice. And even without the air conditioning and just having the tending window brings the temperature down tremendously. So for our longer routes, it's going to be fantastic.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Got you.
I'll make the motion to approve the bus quote to purchase 2 new buses with window tending in the amount of $176,290.
That's per bus, so it'll be about $373 with the window tent and the 2 buses.
$373?
With-
Okay.
That's total everything.
Break that amount to $373.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 14A, consider approval for job description for our, for an educational sign language interpreter.
So I'm gonna talk about the job description specifically, but I'm gonna let Ms. Mann, talk about the needs in the district for this position.
So first, let me begin to say that we have 2 children in Clark County that benefit from services of a American Sign Language interpreter, in which these children are young. So it's not a circumstance where you could use like the virtual relay system if they were an older child. So we have young children that do not have the ability to hear, which therefore limits their ability to not only verbally as well as receptively communicate with their peers as well as learn. So with that, we have 2. We're currently in a situation, not only in Clark County, but representative of the state of Kentucky because we are a licensure state. And due to the benefits of COVID, you say that a little sarcasm, is that because of COVID, there is a gap in the ability of individuals that might have gone to school to be a sign language interpreter. Their licensure system has been interrupted, so therefore we have, in the state of Kentucky right now, only 80. However, in this area, there's only 20. We are one of several districts that have multiple children that would benefit from a sign language interpreter. Currently speaking, we would normally contract our services. I believe you've seen those come before your board in the summer. However, even our contracting services that we contract with are without interpreters because of the breakdown in the licensure program. So we are making do to serve our children, but we're in a situation of we're trying to find another means to be able to provide the tools so that we can formally educate our students here in Clark County. With that, that is the reason why we are coming before the board today.
So in the job description, it would be a new classified position. This would be an hourly classified position. It would require full licensing from the Kentucky Board of Interpreters. Miss Ellis and, well, all of us, it's a collaborative effort to put together a pay schedule. Because like Miss Mann said, there's only 80 in the state. There's really only 70 that are working in the state and only 20 that are available to us. So we're going to try to make ourselves really competitive and recruit some of the best. So we've also put together this pay schedule, and we're requesting that the job description is approved, that we have pay line 33.
Added. So looking at the surrounding counties who have pay lines, we're trying to be competitive to entice people to possibly other districts to come to us because there is such a limited number. So with that, we're looking at a starting pay scale at year 0, $50 up until the 27 plus mark to 65.41, and that puts it within the competitive average range of our area, the Lexington Louisville area. And that's still kind of on the low end, in all honesty, of what we're seeing this position, someone who is licensed going to private services and trying to get them to come to public education. So I mean, we're trying to toe the line of being competitive, but stay obviously conservative with our public dollars. So we just ask for consideration of the job description and the pay scale to be added.
Any questions or discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the job description for educational sign language interpreter and the pay scale. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Finance update, item number 15, acknowledgement of monthly CCTS financial update. Ms. Ellis.
Hello, everybody. We'll talk finances now. We've asked you to approve a lot of stuff tonight. So we'll just do a quick snapshot that we've done each month. So we're looking at last month's August. So we're really only into the second month of the school year, so we're just getting started on collecting our revenues. But you can see basically our receipts to our expenditures. We were 7%, 6% the same time last year. We're same par, second month in. We're right on the same budget to actual collection rates when it comes to receipts and expenditures at this point of the school year. Our local tax collections are just starting to rev up. We just said what our tax rate was. All those bills have gone out. The sheriff is starting to collect those for us. So next month, you're going to probably see a pretty hefty check come in from all those early payers that want that 2% discount on the property taxes. So right now, we don't see any property taxes, but you're starting to see some franchise tax, and our motor vehicles are already coming in. So that motor vehicle is actually quite up from this time last year. So there must be a lot of inexpensive vehicles for these birthday months right now. We see those rates going up everywhere. So again, we've talked a lot of financial items already at the start of the meeting, so this is just kind of a quick, just a snapshot of what those items were that we discussed. And basically within the acknowledgement of this report, you're going to also acknowledge our balance sheet report, our monthly financial report, and the cash balances that you all see, a summary of those within these documents. They just need a formal acknowledgement. They don't have to have an actual approval from you all. So that is pretty much where we're at. We're going to jump into working budget after this, which is a good, long, healthy discussion of our budget. But any questions on financial stuff so far, or summary of anything? Okay. So we can move on to the next item when you all are ready.
Okay, item number 16, authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable. Ms. Ellis.
So we need to pay our bills, pay our salaries, and pay our payroll, and our accounts
It's an
payable.
important one.
Yeah, so
Make a motion.
please, pay our bills.
Any discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve payment of salaries and accounts payable.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 17, consider adoption of the 22-23 working budget. Ms. Ellis.
All right. So this is the final step of the formal budgeting process that is due to KDE on the 30th. As you all know, the budget is an ongoing, continual process that just we update all the time. We're looking at that. But this is formally some changes that we're bringing to you. And at this point forward, any changes within the budget are items that you all would make decisions on for the rest of the school year that would be brought before you. But just looking from the tentative level that you all were presented in May to current, we're going to look at revenue changes and expenditure changes on our general fund or our local property taxes. You can go to the next slide, Justin. Next slide, please. So this is just a change from the tentative. So we're adding a little over $3.6 million to our budget in revenue, and that's based on the beginning balance rollover from last year. We were projecting $8 million because we were being very conservative because that's what was sitting in contingency. So we were saying we were going to spend every dollar at that point, and we know at least contingency will be our beginning balance. Well, we actually had we collected more revenue last year than we had budgeted, and then we spent a little bit less than we had budgeted. So we rolled over a little over $10 million. So we had this extra 2.8 from that. And then based on our tax levy and the effect of how it changes SEEK, we're adding $425,000. And then we added back food service indirect costs, which was about a $290,000 increase to our revenue. So that's revenue added. Flip side of that, expenditures added is a little over $5 million. So we've made some expenditure decisions, and we've made some more tonight. But basically the big ones are, we had expenditures last year that were encumbered that didn't get paid out. So those roll into this year, pulling that budget with them. And that's what we call purchase order carry forward. So we had that. We committed our schools that had some of their SBDM council monies that didn't get spent, roughly $80,000. We allowed them to carry that forward. We had enrollment increase as of the September 15th date, which actually gave those schools more money in their SBDM council based on $100 per their ADA. And then we had some working budget adjustments where we looked at different departments and some needs that were out there that we needed to adjust. Some of it has to do with curriculum and reoccurring. We've changed, Ms. Fithen has stood up here and talked about the different curriculum things where we're trying to align and go more simpler with iReady, and you all have heard that from her, and then we've done power schools and that kind of stuff. So a lot of that expenditures are a little bit different and added to some of our budgets based on that. Our tentative SEEK calculation dropped from KDE based on enrollment and the property values and all of that. And so based on what we had budgeted for SEEK, it actually went down just a little bit, so I accommodated that already. You all committed a 3% raise for the school year, so that was roughly $923,000 added to our budget. We also presented you a transportation wage study that added about, it was $330,000, but when it actually fell out money-wise, when I did the actual calculations, it was like $319. So it was really close in my estimations at $330. And then we're presenting, which is why you have a big, large number of $5 million. We're going to, in this budget cycle, we're trying to forward think and plan instead of standing here as we've done tonight and keep asking you and kind of a popcorn session of we need this, we need this, we need this. We have put together a plan of a rotation replacement plan. So $3.1 million of this budget is really a forward thinking, projecting out for the next 5 years that we're asking you all to take the contingency budget that is fairly large percentage wise and set aside $3 million that is committed, which only a board can commit with an action, which is actually another line item after this budget, is that we're saying, we're gonna say this money is devoted to playgrounds, furniture, maintenance projects, and roof replacements. Like, we know that the money is sitting there, we don't have to worry about it. And if for some reason, if something comes up and we need to uncommit that, we just bring back a board action to you all and say, hey, we would like to uncommit X amount of dollars from that 3.1 you committed for these projects to do this project. But it just kind of puts a plan in place that we know the money's there. And we've talked with the principals, and they have a plan of knowing going forward, there's a furniture rotation, there's a playground rotation, and it's not always going, hey, my stuff's falling apart, I need more stuff, you know, I need furniture, I need playground. they don't have to worry about asking for it anymore. They know that it's gonna happen because we have a plan in place. So we're asking for that. So that's a very large chunk of that 5 million. So in thought pattern of thinking you're gonna spend every dollar you've budgeted, this is kind of a new thought pattern for us because we're not gonna spend $3.1 million in this school year. We're setting it aside as a forward commitment, but it kind of looks like a large ticket item on our budget. If you'll go to the next slide, please. So how we normally look at is we're saying, here's what we're gonna bring in for the year, here's what we're gonna spend out for the year. So looking at that 3.1, it looks like we're upside down and have we're spending, over 109% of our revenue collection. But again, it's that big chunk of money we're setting to the side. So
you said that was over a 5-year period?
yes.
So when you're looking at it, would you divide that 3.1 into, say, like the 22-23 school year?
We could, but the reason we're pulling the whole chunk out and setting it to the side in a budget is so that it's not sitting down here in contingency. Because one of the things too that the state likes to do is compare all the districts. And so if we leave it sitting in our contingency budget, if I only pulled out 1 year each time, it still leaves a very large chunk sitting in our contingency instead of kind of sitting at this set aside budget amount. And it looks like we have a very large fund balance with no commitment to it. Because contingency is kind of like an uncommitted fund balance sitting over here and we've kind of treated it like a free-for-all of, here, come ask for stuff. And we don't want to do that. We want it to be specifically prioritized. Like your contingency is supposed to be your emergency fund. It's supposed to be the fund that has the percentage that you need to operate if for some reason you're not bringing in revenue. So for us, that truly is a 15% mark, like to pay the payroll and to pay the bills for about a 3-month period, which is what the recommendation is about 15%. You'll see on the next slide when we get to it, there is just if you'll go into the one that says contingency. By doing this, it actually puts us down to like about a 10% contingency, which is more in line with the recommendation of what most districts are sitting at.
Okay.
They're more all sitting at anywhere from a 5 to 10% is where the majority of your districts sit in contingency. And if we left that 3.1 in contingency, just like we don't have a commitment for it or whatever, we're looking at more like a 17% contingency, which is pretty high. So it makes more sense that you project out and make that plan. So that's what we're trying to kind of forward think. So it will sit out and we will budget 3.1 every single budget cycle. We will pull that money out and set it aside. Again, if the contingency starts getting low based on how we're rolling dollars and budgeting and all of that, we can uncommit to free that back up to make sure that we have the availability to do what we need to do as a district.
Okay.
If it's not one of those specific playground furniture, maintenance, roof situations. That kind of encompasses a lot of our areas of need for large expenditures. But, so kind of jumping ahead to the contingency mark, where that's 10%. So that's an acceptable level. KDE's recommendation is 5, even though the requirement is only 2. So we're staying, and OEA has done a study that says 10% is really what the average in their recommendation is. So that's keeping us within that. Are there any questions on general fund? Okay. So Fund 2, I'll run through these next ones really fast. This is just a summary, kind of the difference between the tentative level that you were presented at May to now the working budget. Again, we don't book our grants until we know what the grant amounts are, so you're seeing a difference of at the tentative level, we only knew about 4.5 million. We're now aware of 7.6 million as far as our overall grant awards that we'll be operating on for this fiscal year. We still have grants that have rolled from the prior fiscal year, ESSER being one of the largest. Some of them have a couple year life cycles on them, but this is just this fiscal year brand new grants. Fund 22 and Fund 25 are our district and school activities. And you will see very minimal budgets in those at this point, just because we don't book budgets until they actually collect revenue, like you collect it to be able to spend it. So there's not a budget set up until they actually are funded. Fund 360 is budgeted as projects are started. So we basically talked 4 projects with you tonight. So you'll start to see a budget in Fund 360 as we set these projects up once the costs are actually finalized and we know what they'll be, and we transfer monies from general fund that you all have committed tonight to fund these projects. Fund 400 is our debt, so this is our bonds that we have taken out on prior construction projects and what we are paying those bonds back with capital dollars. So we have a capital outlay and building fund, which is funded by our ADA and property. There's set aside, we have 2 nickels in Clark County, so we have to set aside money for that specifically that then pays this debt. So we cover our debt, and then we actually have an excess of capital right now, which you all got a very extensive presentation from Compass a couple months, was that just last month? Just last month, of kind of this process of the capital dollars and how all that's figured with our bond. But we've actually already committed our excess for this fiscal year based on the summer projects that you all approved a few months ago. And then Fund 51, Miss Becky is doing much better. Do you have anything specifically you want to say about food service?
It's glad to be feeding kids.
Yes, so it is great to be back full session, having kids, serving meals. She is making her money back and making up that food service balance that we kind of lost during COVID. So she's recovering nicely from that, and we are taking indirect costs back from her. So we will keep an eye on her funds and make sure that she stays flush as she needs to, though. But we're pretty pleased with how things are rolling with food service. Any questions? I kind of went pretty fast through that.
Any questions?
It was really good. Any questions, Ms. Ritchie? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2022-2023 working budget.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 18, consider approval to commit general fund balance for the purpose of a rotation and replacement schedule. Ms. Ellis.
So this is what we just spoke about within the budgeting process. We just need the formal board action of committing that 3.1 million for that rotation schedule that we'll set aside specifically for those items. And again, it can be uncommitted at any time that the board wishes to do so, if we need to use the monies for something else.
So does that need to say 3.1? Yeah. Oh, you've got it written out for me, don't you? So good. Let me make sure.
Miss Nancy's killing it.
As we knew
Are
she
you on
would.
autopilot?
No, I'm not. I should be. There we go. I just lost it. Let's see.
What was it,
Hang on.
3.1?
3.1. Sorry, went to the item.
I'll make a motion to approve to commit general fund balance for the purpose of rotation and replacement schedule at the total of 3.1 million.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Ritchie?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Internal board business. There's no internal board business on the agenda, but I would like to correct. Earlier, I thought that Ms. Ritchie voted in favor of tabling item number 13 to go to the local planning committee, when in fact she voted against that, and I misspoke and said the motion carried when it in fact failed.
That's on the justice.
Or no, or it did carry, but
Yeah.
it's reflect.
But
sorry.
she needs to be in the know.
Yeah, she needs to be in the know. It did pass, but it was a 2-to-1 motion. Sorry.
No, it still takes a full majority of the board, yeah, it still takes 3 even
I
if,
thought it did.
yeah, so it failed to
It
complete.
did pass. So the motion's failed, I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get it.
Sorry about that. There was a little delay. Superintendent's report. First off, I'd like to welcome Dustin Howard as our new superintendent in his first board meeting on a Thursday.
no other place I'd rather be on my birthday, September 27th, than right here, the great people of Clark County, making great decisions, working together for the betterment of our kids and our community. And I mean that with all my heart. This is my dream job, and I'm gonna work my guts out for you guys and the kids. Jamie Teen says all in, right?
We're all in.
We're all in.
We're all in.
We're all in.
No, I thought I would just kind of walk you through my first little bit. I went to every school many times over. Lots and lots of classrooms. Because one thing that I don't want this chair to rob me of is time with our kids and in classrooms. So a couple of things I remember talking to Ms. Ross Gay. If you guys know Ms. Ross, she's the Youth Service Center Director out at Strode, telling me all the great things that Strode Station's doing, service kids, families, how happy families are to come into her center. Really just glowing with the work they're doing already this year. At Concrete, I got the opportunity to eat with Miss Smith's third grade class. They taught me about the Colts way expectations. We also ate chicken chunks, mashed potatoes. That was fantastic. Mr. Dammer caught me mid chicken chunk. Told great stories about the things they were learning in classrooms. I mean, just to highlight that day. At Justice, went to see first graders talking about place value, talking about single, tenths, hundredths place. Took me back in time. The staff there were doing a fantastic job. Miss Miners and Mr. Burchell. Again, great job over at Justice. At Shear, high attendance day, walked in, I knew something was up because there was pajamas everywhere. And I thought, man, this is a little different. But they were super fired up, still working. They're working on literacy strategies, non-fiction texts about baseball. Went to Miss Patrick's room, Miss Atkins' room, Miss Terry's room, Miss Summers, she's a veteran. I'm gonna call her a veteran. She is a fantastic teacher's been with a long time, also working on place value. So I got to hang out with kids over at Shear. At RDC, my favorite Friday, Cardinal carrying coffee day. Our MS there, students with Miss Whitaker, Miss Mounts, Miss Murray Boyd, and Miss Bethany Toomey. They make all different kinds of coffees. So if you want to go visit on a Friday, they get your order. They got hot coffees, Whitaker specials, French vanilla. They got iced coffees, regular coffee. You can tell I'm a big fan. So they make change, they service, they work on their manners, communication skills. It's a fantastic program over there, so big shout out to them. Then over at Baker, is there on Ms. Davis put on a great collaboration with Chief Hall and Detective Charles, who I used to coach a long time ago. They're educating families on the dangers of cyber bullying. We had a great turnout. It was after school from 5 to 6, and they stayed after asking great questions. So we're going to try to replicate that throughout the district, working on not just bullying, but managing students and parents understanding the dangers. These phones right here have become, in my opinion, a danger. If they're not monitored, we don't know what we're doing. So we're absolutely going to focus that here in Clark County, keeping our kids safe. So again, big shout outs there. Two big grants we got. We're now involved in the State Innovation Network, thanks to Mr. Case and his department. Ms. Hale, they went up Friday, got the tour, showcase. One of the KDE representatives, David, I can't remember his last name, but he's the head of all innovation in the state of Kentucky, and is kind of trying to recruit us to show our greatness. I think he understands some of the things we're doing and wants us to pilot some things. We also got another KDE grant, one goal, met with Mr. King, Mr. Snell, working on specifically post-secondary success for our kids. So we spend all this time working pre-K through 12, and then what, right? Our focus is make sure they're successful afterwards. And so we're really doing some self-assessment at the high school, making sure not only the programming, but we're monitoring kids once they leave, and then making adjustments based on our information so that we are making sure we've got a workforce readiness graduate all the way through. So those are some big things. One other thing is Phoenix, RDC, and GRC are working on a restorative justice plan. So they've now hired a staff, a mental health mentor. So instead of sending a kid home for a 5-day suspension, left to the virtues of unsupervision and their creativity, this is not good. We're actually going to provide services instead of a suspension. So alternative placements for at least 7th through 12th grade. So big time shout out to those guys, really thinking. It also helps with attendance, and again, we get to actually meet the needs of kids versus send them home to maybe not make great decisions. So some of the things happening, great things. Again, we're living the dream here in Clark County. We just gotta tell other people, so appreciate the opportunity.
Glad to have you.
You've got a busy 2 days.
Yeah, we get after it now.
Consent agenda items, number 20, consider approval, or, hey, how many consent agenda items do we have in town? So, consent agenda. Any questions on any of the consent agenda items? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve consent agenda items 20 through 38.
Do you have a second? I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 39 is off. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
This where also go cards?
Go Cards.
Go cards.
Thank you.
I'll make that.
I will. I need it.